Daryl here. The channel is Programming in Any Language. The supporting website is programminginanylanguage.com or black-duck.com. They both take you to the same place, and it's a place where you'll find the videos and PDFs of the code. The video is Static Class Members Fields. In this video, we're going to examine instance variables which are created every time you create an instance of a class. Then we're going to go one step further and create a static variable, a variable that stands alone and belongs to the class, not the instances. And we'll show you why you might want to use such a thing. Here's how we'll do all that. Up to now, we've been looking at classes, forms, instantiating classes, the variables that are contained in classes, and so on. In fact, this is what this is all about. It's about the instantiating classes and making many, many copies of those things and where those instantiated variables actually are. And can we do anything else with those things? We're going to talk about static class member fields today. When a field is declared with a static keyword, there is only going to be one copy of the field member regardless of the number of instances of the class that might exist. So let me show you something here. What you're seeing is what could be a game. It could be Monopoly, it could be Parcheesi, it could be anything that uses a couple of dice in here. And we have this form sitting right here. And we can instantiate another form, the play game form. And the play game form allows us to roll dice. The roll dice is going to bring up some dice, like this, a pair of fives in this case. And if we roll it again, we get a 2 and a 2. In other words, we can roll this thing many, many times and create an instance of the class and the rolls every time we actually press this button. Now that's fine. That's just great. We can certainly do that. And where the 2 dice and the 5 dice we had before were instantiated in variables that in a picture box in a variable that contain the unique dice that we wanted to appear at that instant in the class. Now, what if we wanted to count the number of dice that we actually put on the field here? You know, we know what I just rolled it twice, and we have 4 dice that popped up, 2 5s, 2 2s. If I want to keep track of that somehow, we certainly could create a variable in our application, and every time we roll the dice, we could make a count and do it that way. However, what if we want to do it inside the class instead? So the class took over that role of being able to count every time it was used. That we can do with static fields. Now, in order to do that with static fields, we need to understand the instantiations and those instance fields, where they all come from. So let's review those real quick. Let's review the instance fields and instance methods first so we get an idea of where we're going with this thing. Right now, we know that each instance of a class has its own set of fields, instance fields. You can create several instances of a class and store different values in each instance. For example, given a class named dice, to create a dice object, we use dice, my dice equal new dice. What's going to happen is we're going to create a my dice object, an instance of a dice object right here. My dice is a variable that references the object of the dice class. The new keyword creates an instance of the dice class, and the equal operator assigns the reference that was returned from the new operator to the my dice variable. What does all that mean? Well, it means this. Once the dice object is created, you can access members of the class with the my dice type role. So we've created that dice class here. And if we instantiate it, we then can get at the roll right here by actually doing the roll, which does nothing more than create a random number generator, creates a number between 0 and 5, which we had 1 to, so we get 1 through 6, just like the sides of a dice. And then we use a switch to figure out which side we're looking at, giving us a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, which we can use as an index to an image list to bring back pictures or whatever of a dice if we wanted to. And that's what we're going to do. So my dice roll creates this, and then the statement that stores a value in the side of field that belongs to the instance, that is my reference of my dice. Now we can do 2 my dice rolls. And what will happen then is we're actually instantiating 2 different dice classes. And we'd have 2 different rolls. So we could have 2 dice side by side. One could have a 2 in it, one might have a 5 in it. That basically allows us to roll 2 dice. Classes can have instance methods as well. When called, it performs an operation on a specific instance of the class. We have my dice 1 roll, and we have PBX picture box or image is equal to the image list dice images, and we have the index right here. The my dice 1 get side up gives us that index to the image list, which then is passed to the picture box, allowing us to display a picture of a piece of dice on the screen. The last statement calls the getSideUp method, which returns an index to the list image, letting the picture box display that image of one side of the die. And since both of the instance fielder and instance method are associated with an instance of the class, they cannot be used until an instance of the class has been actually created. We have to actually create it first. Looks kind of like this. We have my dice equal new dice. So this is actually instantiating the dice class. Once we did that, we can do mydice.roll and actually roll the dice. And then we can grab that picture. So right here, we're doing the roll. And right here, we're doing the roll. Notice we have two dice actually being generated here, dice 1 and dice 2. And then what it does, it goes through this case and brings back that index, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, to the getSideUp piece. And we end up then being able to display a picture of the dice. Looks something like this. We'd have multiple screens. We have some game of who knows what. We'll actually play the game. And what will happen is we'll end up with this roll dice form that comes up. We can roll the dice or exit if we want. If we roll the dice, we end up with two dice showing up here. The index is now giving us this particular piece, which we can put to the image list and put it on a picture box. Let's take a look and see how this actually works. We're going to create a new project. That project is going to be called Dice App Demo. And we're going to place it in a folder I've already established, the sandbox. I'm going to change this form to be roughly 435 by 375. I'm going to place a couple of objects on it. One will be the exit button exit, and the other will be the play game button, which will be called button play game. I expanded the font so we can see it a little better, but that's basically it. So what's going to happen is I'm going to be able to play a game. That's going to bring up a dice form. So I'm going to need a dice form right now, or a roll dice form. So I'm going to go to my application right here. I'm going to add a new item. And it's going to be a Windows form. And we'll call this thing roll dice. And that creates that particular form right there. My roll dice form is going to be 298 by 279. And in it, I'll place a few more objects. We're going to place a picture box, PBX Dice 1 and PBX Dice 2. So this will hold the image, or show an image of two dice, the sides of two dice, so whatever we roll. This will be button roll. It's going to BTN roll. It's going to actually roll the dice for us by using the class. And this will be our exit button, which will get us out of that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to set up the class. So I'm going to go right here again, and I'm going to say add a new item. This time we're going to add a class. And we're going to call that class dice. And it comes up with its beginning code here. What I'm going to do in the code, I'm going to create a field to represent the side facing up, side up. I'm then going to place the constructor. Public dice 1, side up equals 1. I'm establishing it as 1 right now, but we'll change that through a rolling method. I place that rolling method right here. And what we're going to do is basically create a method called roll. It's going to take in an integer, int roll, and that integer is going to be randomized. We're going to create a random number generator. It's going to create something from 0 through 5, ran next 6. We're going to add 1 to it, so we have 1 through 6 in int roll when we actually establish it. Once we have 1 through 6 in there, we can use a case or a switch statement to go through and see what side is actually up, what actually came up. And whatever it is, we're going to send that number to side up, which is going to represent the side of the dice that is actually showing. That's all we have to do there. Now, we're also going to create a method to get side up. We're going to return it. So we'll add this routine right here, public inst to get side up, and return side up. So we're creating another method here of get side up so we can actually return side up to whatever calls it. So that's our class. Method to return the side up field. That's all we have to do for this thing. So that creates that. So now we have a class here that we can start working with and start using. With that in place, we can go back to our sum game design and write the code for these things. All this thing's going to do is call the roll dice form, and all this is going to do is exit our program. So we'll do the exit first. And then we'll do the play game. What the play game button does is it uses the roll dice form, creates a copy of it, an instance of it, and we have a new roll dice up here. So we're going to create a My Dice image out there, a form. And then we're going to show it. And we're going to give it the focus, so we have to stay on it until we actually exit off that form. Does this thing work right now? Should. There, the start. You know what I actually want to do too is I want to take both these forms before I do that, and I want to have them come up in the middle. The starting position, I want to be center screen. That's there. I also want to go to my roll dice design, and I want to have this thing start out center parent. Now we can see if we're actually on the right track here. Form moves up, play game is there. Exit button's there, play game's there. Hit it. It does bring up the roll dice form. These things don't work yet because we haven't coded them. So I'll click off this. Actually, when I see this, you can see that I have to. It's a modal form, so I have to exit this out before I can get back to here and actually close this. So this button is actually, this form right here is done. It does everything it needs to do. What I need now to do is create the code for the roll dice form. Well, the easiest thing to do, the exit button first. So we'll do that guy. We'll close this form. And we're going to need one other object on here. We're going to need an image. So we'll create the image dice down here. It's going to contain all the images of the die we might have. And right now that collection is empty. No, it's actually got stuff in it. Okay, it's got stuff in it already. Brought it in from the copy that I just did. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items in here. So we have things out there that it's actually getting. And we have the size where 120, 121 through 135 of the dice that are there. These things look like this. I have out my graphics area, and you can see that they look like something like this. There's what your dice looks like. So we're going to grab those. So what I need to do here is I want to actually write the code for the roll dice click event. What we're going to do here is we're going to put in that code. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to generate an instance of the dice. Dice, my dice equal new dice. That's going to create the instance for dice 1. Then we're going to generate roll for dice 1 and display it. So my dice roll, we're going to call that method for my dice 1 roll. And we're going to actually take that, whatever we get back, into get side up and put it into the images file and display it in the picture box dice 1. We're going to do it again for dice 2. We're going to generate roll for dice 2 and display it. Again, we use my dice roll, my dice 1 roll. So we're only using the one instance that we actually did here. And we're going to roll it. And what's going to happen is we're going to end up in picture box 2. We're going to take whatever came up and put that dice in there as well. And that's it. That's all we need to do. Do file save on this. Our picture boxes are ready. We should be ready to go on this thing. So we're going to take a look and see what happens. Here's our play game. We can roll our dice. Up comes a pair of 2s. We can exit this out and exit this out. And we're good to go. Run it again. Play game calls the modal form, roll dice. We can't get off this. We actually have to do something on it. We'll roll our dice. We get a 5. Roll it again. We get a pair of 4s. Get out. Exit. So that seems to be working. And that's all using instances of classes. And what we end up with is our class, our some games box, and some kind of game could be in here where we'd actually use, and we have a roll dice routine that's going to be popped up right inside there. And that's the extent of it. That's all we need to do. That brings us to static class members. So far we've looked at the the objects that have been instantiated, and we're looking at instances of the classes. A static class member belongs to the class, not to the object instantiated from the class. There's a difference there. So that means that the class is going to contain a variable or an object or whatever, and the instantiations, the instances of all the classes, aren't going to make a difference to it. Just that one piece is going to be there. So a static class member belongs to the class, not to the object instantiated from the class. As we just saw, each instance of the class has its own set of instance fields and instance methods. Instance fields and instance methods are associated with a specific instance of the class. We can create a field property or method that does not belong to any instance of the class. These are known as static fields, static properties, and static methods. Let's take a look at static fields. When a field is declared with the static keyword, there's only one copy of the field in memory, no matter how many instances of the class you create. And it looks something like this. We end up changing, we're going to create something called the number of roles. And so we're adding a static integer called int number of roles in here. It's going to belong to the class dice. And every time that this dice class is instantiated, this int number of roles is going to increment. And we do that right here by int number of roles plus plus. It's going to just increase that. We're also going to create a getInstanceCount method to return int number of roles, so we can bring it on the screen at any time. We're going to modify our form somewhat so that we have the number of dice rolls with a label sitting here, and every time we play this game, we update this. You can see rolls my dice equal new dice. We've got the show dialog coming up. Dice my dice equals new dice. Label number of rolls my dice, get instance count to string. So every time we roll the dice, we're going to increment this label and show this instant count on our screen. I've made a copy of the previous application we just did, and I'm going to make a minor adjustment to it. I'm going to add some fields. So what I'm going to add here is the number of dice rolls and put that right here. We have this label right here that is label 1, and we have this label right here that is called label number of dice rolls. So this is going to display the number of times that we actually roll the dice, if we actually call that class. We don't need to make any changes to the roll dice application, but we do need to make a change to the class itself. We go to the class, and what we're going to do is we're going to actually add this static variable to our class. Static int number of rolls. We're then going to go down right down here and in our constructor increase int number of rolls every time the constructor is executed. Then we're going to add a new method called public int getInstanceCount, which is going to return the int number of rolls. That's all it's going to do. And that's all we need to do to change our class. Everything else can stay the same. So we're just simply adding a field here that's going to increment, and it's private to the class itself, where it's only going to be able to increment whenever this dice class is instantiated. Does that mean changing the play game button? Yes. Right now we're rolling a dice, and our dice is doing the show dialog thing. After that's done, we want to instantiate a new instance of the dice class called myDiceCount. And then we're going to go right to the myDiceCount and get that instance and pull it. So we're actually creating an instance of the dice class, but we're accessing the getInstanceCount right here. That's all you need to do. If we run this thing, we have number of rolls is blank here. We'll hit the play button right here, roll the dice, and it rolled. We'll exit out, and we get 2. We rolled each dice twice, so we got 2 of them going there. Play it again, roll the dice, another pair of 3s. We have 4. So it's incrementing that as we go along. No matter how many times we actually execute this, we will get the number of rolls that took place, each dice that's rolling. And that's all you have to do that. So this is giving us a static variable. No matter how many times we instantiate the class, it keeps incrementing that particular variable so we can get added. I didn't say it in the video, but I'll say it now. That's static class fields in a nutshell. But that's not the only way to do it. You could also create a static property and do it that way. I'll show you that in the next video. Thanks for watching. Visit the website when you get a chance. And please subscribe to the channel. There's new stuff coming every week. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.